today, which is the 5th day of his presidency. His first public engagement outside of the Flagstaff House was at the 85th Annual Convention of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Mission that was held at Winneba in the Central Region. Well, President Akufo Addo has been emphasizing the need for increased patriotism, saying that lessons on patriotism should start with the family.
The Vice President of the Republic, Haji Dr. Mahamadou Bawumia, Maulvi Mohammed bin Saleh, eminent clergy of the Ahmadiyya movement, eminent clergy of the Christian religion, our senior citizen, Alhaji Muhammad Idrisu, invited guests, Ahmadiyya Jamaat, Assalamu alaikum. I am grateful for the honor of addressing the 85th National Annual Convention of the Ahmadiyya movement. I thank the Amir for his words of welcome and salutation. And I want to assure him that I am going to live up to the challenge and thank him for his support. The mention of the Ahmadiyya mission brings naturally to my mind the names of your illustrious predecessor, Maulvi Wahab Adam, who was a good friend and counselor of mine.
Okay, we've got to go back to the Flagstaff House where Elton is talking to some of the nominees. Let's hear him now.
The majority leader is only the leader of the House, but he is also the leader of government business. And if you are the leader of government business, you certainly must be part of the evolution of government business. Indeed, even in the evolution of policies that will underpin government business. If you're not part of it, how successful can you be as a leader of government business? So you need to be part of the brewing of government policy and the determination of government programs in order for you to be able to shepherd them through Parliament with a crystal clear understanding of what ought to be done, of what is programmed for government to do. So that is how it is, and that is why you should be part of the evolution of government programs, projects, and policies.
What about the issue of interference? That's been a concern for many. Because
in the Westminster system, right, the lines are not even clearly deep. The Prime Minister sits in the legislature. The Prime Minister is the head of state. What do you say about that? I think it's the way that we understand democratic governance and democratic accountability. Bringing this to bear in a transparent and accountable government is what matters. It's not as if otherwise you question why members of Parliament who are with the legislature are part of the executive as ministers.
Come.
Wherever you find yourself and make yourself transparent. That to me is what matters.
My final question will be 169 membership in Parliament. How confident should we have in your oversight responsibility now that you have overwhelming majority on your side?
I think I'm not overwhelmed by the hugeness of the members at all. I am clear in my mind that indeed, if we have to shepherd government policies, and don't forget that in Parliament, about 90-95% of business that we conduct is government business, which explains to you why Parliament has to go on recess now, because there's nobody in government to really bring government business to Parliament. We now have to compose government, that is executives, the members of the executive, the ministers, in order for them to be able to ferry government policies and programs to Parliament. If questions should be asked of ministers, there will not be anybody to be held accountable. Nobody will be there to answer on behalf of the executive, which is why we have to bid this retreat, properly constitute the various ministers and also the various committees, and move the agenda of Parliament on.
Thank you very much, the Honourable Majority Leader and the Minister Designate for Parliamentary Affairs. We will pick more response, and I don't know if we can have a brief discussion with the Minister Designate for Aviation, and to find out what her plans will be going forward to develop the aviation center as a preferred hub for West Africa, for indeed the African continent, and then we can bring you more reactions from the presidency. I want to say congratulations to you, ma'am. And just want to find out the sector you are heading, quite a serious one. What is the plan going to the aviation sector?
I believe we all know, as the president said, it is his wish and vision that Ghana becomes the hub, the preferred hub for the West African region, the ECOWAS region, and preferably the whole of Africa and Europe as well. And in general, for serious travelers as well as leisure travelers.
Right. And then there are ongoing, airport projects across the country. The Volta region.
Sunyani is already there, and Kumasi has been rehabilitated. You know it. Yeah. And Accra, I think you've seen a lot of work done there as well.
The ones that are at the primary, so what is the guarantee that you will see them through?
I guess we'll need a bit of time to look at what is existing, to appreciate what has been done before, then we'll plan the next step.
Some will ask why we are having a standalone aviation which should have come under the Transport Ministry.
I believe it's for emphasis and it's for effective developmental purposes, because once you zero in and scoop out a whole ministry out of a ministry with various agencies and units, then you are giving it special attention. That is exactly what the president intends to do. And that's exactly what I, as a minister designate, if by the grace of God I'm approved by Parliament, that's what the vision that will be carried out.
So after the 4-year term, on what level should we measure you?
Let's pray for the time to come and pass. Then when we get to the bridge, I guess we'll all pass the bridge and assess what has been done so far. But I believe there's a lot of life that is going to be given to the aviation sector.
Thank you very much, ma'am, and I wish you were in your endeavors. So we will speak to more people. One person that I'll be speaking to very soon is the Minister Designate for Youth and Sports, a very controversial ministry with high, attrition rate. Isaac Asiama, the Member of Parliament for Anchumam Ponua, the ranking, until the dissolution of the 6th Parliament, the ranking member on the Youth and Sports Committee, and he is heading to a sector he's quite familiar with. We want to find out what is under his sleeves to deliver a very, exciting ministry for the people of Ghana, because when you talk about the Ministry of Youth and Sport, one thing that you cannot do away with is the relevance of Ghana football, indeed the Ghana Football Association. There's been talks about a supposed mafia at play. We're going to find out how he will deal with this particular mafia. But for those who just tuned in to Joy News and, of course, Joy 99.7 FM, I can just run by you the list as presented by the President, Nana Akufo Addo, for the Ministry of Planning, which is going to be a ministry under the Office of the President. We have Professor Jamba for Honorable Katrina Feko is designated for tourism, arts and culture. for the Special Development Initiative, Mavis Howard Kumsen is the one designate for that particular sector. And of course, Awa Ibrahim, former Managing Director of the Graphic Communications Group, is designated for Business Development. Mustafa Hamid for Information, Minister for Youth and Sports, as they can see, whom I'll be speaking to very shortly. And then Kofi Jamasi, Minister for Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs, Minister for Aviation is Cecilia Dapa. Honorable Boniface Sadiq is designated for the Minister of Inner City and Zongo Development. For the Fisheries and Aquaculture, Elizabeth Na Afolekwe is a designate, and of course, Oseche Mensah Bonso is a Minister designated for Parliamentary Affairs. He's currently the Majority Leader, and we will soon be speaking to Isaac Asiama to pick his brains on the ministry he's heading, the Youth and Sports. And more importantly, when we have a Nations Cup coming up next week, we want to find out the level of motivation that they've given the Black Stars ahead of their participation in the African Cup of Nations. Indeed, how you hope to handle Ghana football in general, in the role of the Ghana Football Association in advancing football, and as well as the lesser sports. And that's what, those are some of the questions we want to find out from Ezekiel, who is very versed in this particular area. Honorable, you're welcome to join us. Congratulations. I saw it coming finally. You've been nominated. You are waiting parliamentary approval. How are you going into such a very controversial ministry with high level of attrition?
Well, thank you. I must first of all thank the Almighty God for this great opportunity. So thank Nana Akufo Addo for the trust reposed in me. I would want us to wait till Parliament does the approval, so that if there are other issues, we will resolve them. But what we have said is that we are going to position sports so that it can be used as a tool for job creation, create opportunities for young men and women in this country.
And how are you going to do this?
We've outlined a number of them in the manifesto, as you are aware. So the manifesto pledges the social contract that we have signed between of Ghanaians. So that social contract, that document is there. The manifesto is there. Whatever we intend doing, they are all captured in the manifesto. So we are going to make sure that the manifesto works, that whatever is within the manifesto, we go and go accordingly. So for some of us who would want to jump the gun, let us wait till Parliament does the approval. Parliament has finished with the process, the vetting process, then it will come out. But we are going to provide sound leadership, quality leadership that ensures that there is harmony and there is peace within the sports fraternity.
But of course, for the millions of Ghanaians who are listening, indeed, looking forward to the African Nations Cup next week, they want to know. I mean, even though you are yet to assume office, but you've served as a ranking member of the Youth and so you are very much aware of the issues regarding the Youth and Sports Ministry. For the Black Stars, how are they going into this tournament?
Well, I think first of all, Nanado himself sent us. We went to visit the Stars when they were here, when they were camping here. We went to visit them and we sent them the goodwill message. So we expect the team to do well in Gabon. We expect to end the 34-year drought of the Cup, so that this time around we win the Cup, we win the gold. That's all that we are expecting.
How motivated are
they? For their preparation and everything.
Bonuses and all that, are you aware?
Well, I'm not in office now. Yeah, so those issues obviously might have been dealt with by the previous regime. So wait until finally I assume office, and then all these issues will be dealt with. So that is it. But for now, I'm not the Minister for Youth and Sports. I'm not.
Even as you are waiting approval, there's this supposed mafia. Are you aware of this at the Jeffrey?
I'm not aware of any mafia. I believe they are Ghanaians that we need to work with. For me, as if them all these years, I've been on the Public Accounts Committee for several years. I believe that there should be efficiency, effectiveness, economy, bottom line, value for money. That has been my credential. I've always fought for value for money in all my analysis. So whatever it is, we are going to ensure that we protect the national purse. That one we will do.
So that's going to form the basis of your relationship with the FA.
There should be good relationship. I don't believe that a leader or a minister should be fighting an agency under you. No. If you want to effect changes, it doesn't come by just lamenting, complaining, or through banter. Effective changes can come through dialogue, persuasion, harmony. That's what I believe in. I don't believe in going on a banter with anybody. I believe the leader must work and work well. The leader must be a team player. That is it. So I'm going to ensure that all the agencies under me work well with them. It is under me. I have good rapport with them. It is under me. I've established that kind of relationship that to promote the kind of respect, the kind of dignity that any man wants to have. So that is it.
Thank you very much, Honorable Isaac Siama, Member of Parliament for Achiman Ponua, and then the Minister Designate for the Youth and Sports Ministry. Mr. Awa Mohammed is a former Managing Director of the Graphic Communications Group, and he's been nominated for the ministerial role of business development. I wonder exactly what briefing have you been given as far as this particular role is concerned?
You know, the private sector constitutes about 90% of businesses in this country. So the essence of the office is to help improve the capacity of the private sector so that they can deliver. If the private sector is productive, efficient, and competitive, they're able to expand, create jobs, and employ the people. As you are aware, the employment level in this country is very high. And one of the campaign issues we had was employment. One of the biggest challenges facing this country is unemployment. So the private sector, the ministry is supposed to make sure that we capacitate the private sector, help them improve their businesses, expand the scope so that they can employ more people. But that way, we're improving the living conditions of the people and improving livelihoods. That's what we are about.
And what's the strategy to, deliver this?
It's several from. We need to ensure that we have a lot of investment in it. We need to ensure that the president has a lot of problems. Finance is key. Lack of capacity is another. So we need to make sure that we help train, help them access to funding, and then let them apply modern business practices and technology so that they can improve, expand, and then employ a lot of people. The young people, boys and girls in this country, need jobs. We can only do that through the private sector initiatives. That's what I want to do.
What about investment? I don't know whether that forms part of your role.
Investment and business development. You know, we need to coordinate all the investments coming to this country. We need investment in infrastructure. We need investment in manufacturing, in ICT, and in services. So we are supposed to make sure that we coordinate all the investment programs of various ministries and governments and direct them to very critical, needed sectors of the economy so that we can improve the country and improve the lives of the people. So it's a twin, we're starting on twin legs, bringing investment and improving the private sector for qualitative growth and employment.
But already existed as a Ghana Investment Promotion Center. I'm wondering how your office fine-tune the agenda of the government when we have an existing institution for this. You
know, all the ministries are cross-sectoral. Ministries work together. They work in harmony. They don't work across purposes. What we need to do, if you look at the investment drive, Ghana being a very peaceful country, a very democratic credentials, we have to leverage on our democracy. We've gone through elections very successfully. Look at other countries around us. So we think that yes, GIPC is doing well. We can do far, far better and get the investment into the criticals of the economy for development. That's what I want to do.
One key campaign promise of the MPP administration is the delivery of the one village, one district, one factory project. I don't know whether this is part of your reference.
All of us have to work together as a government, but certainly we need to get a lot of investment to deliver this. We will deliver on that promise. We will deliver.
And will this be piloted by the private or the public sector?
I think it's both government and private and private sector. We want to create the necessary condition, environmental condition, the necessary environment for private sector to thrive. The government must make policies and regulation that will give private sector space. When private sector is given space, they can improve and they can employ people and make livelihoods better. That's what I want to do.
All right, thank you very much. And just one quick word. All right, I was just going to speak to Madam Afeko, but she's engaged right now. We'll get back to her. But for now, we can walk back into the main hall where some of the nominees are, engaging the media on what they intend doing. I think they.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Nobody even to go to Parliament for Parliament to ask questions regarding the wanton waste of resources that happened under SADA, for example. So for the first time, this president is allowing us the opportunity to hold people accountable, to say that when the development authorities, for example, go wrong, when they steal our money and etc., we can go and hold the Honorable Mavis Hawakumsi to come and answer to the Ghanaian people why we pump so much money into these development authorities and they waste the money. So the waste that would have occurred if there was no accountability, I am telling you, is far greater than what you perceive as waste in paying her salary.
So clearly, for you, you don't have any issues with what the president is doing?
On the contrary, it is the spirit of our constitution. I keep emphasizing that the spirit of the constitution is accountability. That is what governance is about. So how can you have a government that does not have accountability points? I don't get it. For example, the Minister for National Security. The Securities and Intelligence Act of Ghana states that we must always have a Minister for National Security, so that when it comes to national security issues, we can hold somebody responsible. For example, in the past, national security coordinators send national security officials on the loose, and they vandalize property and they do that, and they go scot-free. Are you following me? Right. Because there is no minister to account for them, if you want, misbehavior of security agencies and so on. So,
but the last government realigned them under the Interior Ministry.
No, there are two different things. I am saying that there is law. I am saying that there is law in this country called the Securities and Intelligence Law. Okay? It's an act of parliament that states clearly that we must always have a national security minister. That is not Akufo Addo saying so. It is Ghana's law. So his crime is that he obeys or abides by the law. I don't get how a president who now abides by our laws is the lawless one. I don't get that. Somebody has to convince me that obeying the law is wrong. Somebody has to convince me.
Water and sanitation, because they thought that it could have been under either the works and housing and also the sanitation under the local government or even the health ministry. So people are still brooding over some of these appointments.
I don't know what brooding is. I'm sure you are just bandying words. But you see, I am not sure that anybody is excited about the state of our country in terms of the environment. See the filth that engulfs Accra. If you are excited about it, frankly speaking, I am not. It's an eyesore. Everybody talks about Rwanda. Today, a radio station in Ghana is organizing a trip for Ghanaians to go to Rwanda and see how Rwanda has become such a showpiece of cleanliness and progress and so on. Frankly, I am ashamed as a Ghanaian that today we are having to go and learn from a country that very few years ago was at war with itself, devastated its country and pulled down its infrastructure. And that in a few years they have been able to build. And after 60 years of independence, we are now going to learn from Rwanda. So I think that the issue of sanitation and cleanliness is a paramount issue. Look, water. I mean, I don't see why in the 21st century there should be any group of people who would still be competing with cows and goats and sheep for water. It is not acceptable. So if a president identifies these critical areas of our national life and wants focus on these areas in order to offer, if you want, palpable deliverables in those areas, I think that it is the best that we can do.
Right, thank you.
Just one quick question, and then I can allow you to go. So the information ministry obviously is back, and we have communication directorate. In terms of government dissemination of information, where should that be placed? We have a director responsible for communication, and here at the Flagstaff House.
Yeah, he doesn't speak. I think that the president was very clear that his minister for information would also be the spokesperson for the president. What the Director for Communication at the Presidency does is what Eugene Ahin has been doing with you guys, ensuring that you are on time to programs, responsible for your welfare in the presidency, and allowing you the facilities to do your work and report on the president's activities and so on. He's a background operator. But as to who speaks for the presidency, that's very clear. So the Director of Operations is a backroom strategy worker who pushes, if you want, who facilitates the work of the media inside the presidency. That's a separate matter from the chief spokesperson for government and president.
The assurance that journalists and indeed Ghanaians will have timely information on matters relating to the presidency and the working of the government.
Oh, but of course, what you have to know, you would know in a very timeous manner, no doubt about it.
I wish you very well in your future endeavors. All right, so folks, that will be all. We'll just pick one more person and then we'll bring the discussion to a close. And the person we are going to speak to is a person nominated for the Tourism and Creative Arts, Madam Catherine Afeko. Just congratulations on your new role, if approved by Parliament.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
This is a very broad area with the potential of creating massive jobs for the Ghanaian people. What is the strategy in developing this particular sector?
First of all, I'm grateful to President Nana Addo Akufo Addo for giving me this opportunity to serve Mother Ghana. And secondly, we're grateful to the constituents who elected me back into Parliament to give me this chance. Tourism, creative arts, culture is a very huge potential job creation industry. And I'm sure most of you in the media will be part and parcel of this journey. I think Ghana has untapped potential in the tourism sector. The foremost one is the beaches. We have a coastal stretch from the Volta region all the way to Inzimaland. And the critical thing I would wish and hope to do once given the nod is to sanitize the beaches. Have a clean beach so you can potentially entice visitors and then potential investors to create the hotel industry along the coast. As I grew up in Nairobi, Kenya, I recall my family taking us to Mombasa on vacation. All you saw were hotels dotted along the coast, and their beaches were not as, as exciting as the Ghanaian coastal line. So I think with the support of a technical team at the ministry, we can repackage the Ghanaian hospitality with clean beaches and create the potential for tourism domestically and internationally. One, what is going in our favor is our culture. It's very unique. We have the forts and castles, we have the kente, we have the festivals, and it has not been packaged to entice the world market. Because it's a put-off. When you come to Ghana, you go to the beaches, it's not clean, and you don't have other entertainment avenues. You come to Accra, and then you leave your hotel for a conference, and there's nothing else to do. So I'm hopeful that once we are approved and we go there with the support of the ministry and the directorate, we should put on our thinking caps and create that enticing environment for tourism to be the talked about ministry, because it's a job creation avenue. You look at Singapore, you look at our next door, even Gambia, a small country, lives on tourism. So I intend, with your support, to make history with tourism industry as a viable GDP contributor, and it can be done. It can be done.
Let's look at the creative industry, and some of their concerns include copyrights and protection of their intellectual property. How do you want to help them, iron this issue once out and for all?
The foremost thing is I had the opportunity to be part of the transition team, leading the working team, and I think in the interim, what we are going to focus on is the Creative Arts Bill. It's still in the works. It's at the Attorney General's Department. So at least for the first quarter, we should get this bill brought to Parliament, turned into an act. So it will give the creative industry a muscle and also some recognition, because in that act, the bits and pieces that we've read protects the copyrights and even incorporates a lot of social media now is part of creative arts, and we want to give them the recognition that they deserve, because the talent is not being utilized. So we have, for example, the producers of Ghanaian movies, we have the Abibi Groma, the Symphony, the National Theatre, a lot of different avenues to harness the talent of the Ghanaian. But if you give them an act, and also we want to create the Creative Arts Council, where they will have a room in the ministry to have some kind of legal backing, to have a voice in the creative industry and the tourism industry as a whole. If we want tourism to be taken serious, we need to bring arts and creative industry up to par. So it will not be a one-stop shop. For example, how do you get the forts and castles to be exciting? You'll need a baby groma to reenact slave trade. You need the creative arts industry to produce short documentary. You need the talent of the creative industry to do something at the forts so a visitor will be enticed to return. And it is not there. They can only do that when they know and feel their culture, their talent is not taken for granted.
Hotel accommodation is expensive in Ghana.
It's true.
And all over West Africa. Even Africa, we are putting being number 5. What are you going to do to ensure that it attracts, it's reduced, it's affordable, and that you can attract more tourists to come to Ghana?
The most critical solution is competition. The more hotels you're able to build, demand and supply will take care of itself. That is a long term, but we intend to sit down with the industry leaders. And also, if you go to other countries, they have domestic rates for indigents and different rates for international travelers. So these are some of the policies and ideas that we hope to bring on board and discuss with the private sector, because you cannot impose, government cannot impose these tariffs on the private sector, but we will have the dialogue with them and encourage them to give us rates that is commensurate with the Ghanaian family. So we'll encourage domestic tourism. But my interest is in air tariffs, getting the aviation industry to see tourism as part and parcel of their industry. So if we have air tariffs drastically reduced, people will travel more from Boliga to Axim to look around and also to entice family members to look into what Ghana has to offer. But if it's prohibitive, then no one will go anywhere. I think we have a lot to do, but we can package it well, the festivals, and also tap into the youth. Now, social media is huge. How do you sell Ghana? The culture, the Akwaba effect, the national heritage of the Ghanaian. And we can package some of these intrinsic values with the dynamism that I see in the media and the youth. I think together we can make Ghana a touristic hub.
Thank you very much. And so the last person I want to speak to before we bring this to a close will be the Minister of State designate for Planning at the Office of the President, Professor Jambafo, who himself is not really new to planning, because at some point he was a Deputy Finance Minister at the Ministry of Finance. Already speaking, we can pick some of his thoughts related to his new role.
Be our manifesto compliant. That is to make sure that the plans that exist take into consideration the vision of the country, of the president, and our party. So that will be the entry point. They will be there doing their plans, all right, but we will have to make sure that the plans that they have gives meaning to our manifesto. So, for instance, if we are saying that we're going to build, one factory in every district, the plan for the Ministry of Agriculture, of Trade and Industry should have a component in there with that objective. And then the various activities that will take place for it to mature should be stated there. And then each one of them should be funded. You see the point, so that it gets into the budget and then it can be implemented. If you don't do that, and we just talk about it, oh, it's in our manifesto, it is in the here, that's my vision, and you don't really get it into the plans, the plans that are going to drive the budget. You sit there and it's not funded. So I'm going to make sure that our programs and our activities and our promises and what are in the manifesto gets funded and gets implemented.
Prof, there's a National Development Planning Commission. I'm wondering how your office will link up with what they have in terms of going forward, because I know that was probably the more reason why planning was taken out of the Ministry of Finance.
Certainly, you see, what they have a plan. They have the national plan. They have, and of course, you see, the national plan is an agglomeration of plans from the various ministries and various departments of government. That forms the national plan. So in the first place, that national plan, you know, they were written before we came out with our manifesto, with and then the president was elected with a new vision. That vision should find expression in those documents that are being used by the NDPC. So yes, I'll have to meet with them, sit down with them and tell them this is what we promised Ghanaians that we are going to do. And those things should find expression in this document that you have, or any new document that you are going to have. And then also to make sure that the ministries that are supposed to, you know, implement some of these things, I also have to call them and tell them that, look, this is what we want the government, the direction of the country. It's not in this plan. Let's find a way to put them in the plan. Once we put them in the plan, they will go.
Prof, your government in opposition spoke a lot about the health of our economy. And now we've been told that the economy is in a very bad state. Now you are adding on and adding on. We have the president has named standing ministries and ministers of state. The worry for many is that you're just going to add on to the national, the compensation for public sector workers. How do you respond to this particular issue?
No, you remember, you heard him clearly saying that I'm not going to create new ministries. All these ministers are going to work under the office of the president. That is what he said.
But you agree with the budget?
You see, no. You see, you prioritize. That's your priority. So certain things will have to take precedence over others. That is his priority, and that is a priority that will actually take the country to where we want it to be taken to. So we have to have a hierarchy of importance, and that will be part of the what we are going to do. He thinks that is very important. So be it, but it's not going to add anything. We are not going to add any extra. Of course, there are certain activities that probably we may not do, and there are certain activities that we will do, or even new activities that we will do. But it all depends on how you prioritize. You don't create new things and keep the old ones, all of them together. Some of them will have to give way. Yes. And that is the way the prioritization that you do.
Whichever way, it is going to be an office. You're going to have a secretariat to run with, and these are all, monies must go into, paying for some of these things.
Oh, certainly. The staff that are here, you don't have to bring in new staff to the ministries when you go there anyway. The existing people there, you use them. The existing people in the Flagstaff House or here maybe will have to be used 1 or 2 years, but that will be value for money. If you think you are going to do that and get a better result out of it, why not?
Right. So
thank you very much, Professor Jamba, for the Member of Parliament for Wenchi and the Minister Designate for Planning in the Office of the President. So this is not done yet. As far as the substantive ministries are concerned, that list is complete according to the President, Nana Akufo Addo. Now what is left is for Parliament to now sit on these nominees and determine their suitability for the job. Now once that is done, he will consult with the substantive ministers as to the naming of deputy ministers who help them in execution of the government plans and promises for the people of Ghana. We'll wait to see how that unfolds in the days to come. But for now, we'll leave it here and take you back to the studio for the continuation of course. From the Flagstaff House, this is Elton Brobe for Joy News.
Very much, Elton Brobe there from the Flagstaff House giving us the details. Professor Jamba for Minister for Planning, Catherine Afeku, Minister for Tourism, Arts and Culture, Mustafa Hamid, Minister for Information, Mavis Kumsin, Special Development Initiative, Isaac Esiama, Youth and Sports, Na Afole Kwe, Fisheries and Aquaculture, Kofi Jamesi Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs, Cecilia Dapa Aviation, Boniface Sadiki City and Zongo Development, Ibrahim Awal Business Development, or Seche Mensabunsu Parliamentary Affairs. Malik, what do you say?
Well,
we've been doing this since day one.
Yeah, so the curious one, so Seche Mensabunsu.
How is that curious? We knew there was going to be a Parliamentary Affairs Ministry.
Well, you know that in the last days of the Akufo government, you didn't have the Minister for Parliamentary. In fact, in the beginning, there was no Minister for Parliamentary Affairs. It was later on that the majority leader was also made Minister for Parliamentary Affairs, and I'm talking about Felix Osa Ejapong at the time. The NDC, I am reliably informed that Bagbin wanted to also be made Minister for Parliamentary Affairs.
Okay.
Because once you are majority leader and you are Minister for Parliamentary Affairs, it affords you a chair at cabinet.
I see.
So you can sit in cabinet, you can be part of the processes and the deliberations that will lead to the memoranda that will be brought forward for policy decisions. So he didn't get that. And so the MPP are back, so they brought back the senior minister position only yesterday. The Mahama Ayarga, member of parliament for minority member of parliament for Boku Central, was raising concerns about whether the provision has been made in the constitution for senior minister and all of that. So, but of course, the MPP first appointed senior minister in GH Mensah. Now they are appointing minister for parliamentary affairs as they did under Kufuor. Some of the other key new areas that raise a lot of concerns, the president has of course clarified that areas that are being handled by Awal, for example, the inner city and Zongo development, which I can see is gaining all the traction and is dominating
on social media.
All of those ministries will operate from under the presidency. And I think that clarification is important because there were many who were jittery that the list of ministers was getting too long and the number was getting too high.
Well, it isn't too long. We had 25 already, and today we've seen what, 12, 11?
So that's 36.
So that's it's not as big.
Well, but we are expecting deputy ministers to be appointed for all of these. We are expecting regional ministers and their deputies, all of that. That swells up the figures. But it's important that he's clarified that many of these will operate from the presidency, and that is not new because under the Kufuor government, we know that many people were appointed at the presidency. Under the Mills and Mahama presidencies, we had people who were appointed from operating from the presidency. You remember there's a ministry for private-public partnership agreement
under the office of the presidency.
Rashid Pelpo's office at the time. There was one which was initially occupied by Fifi Kwete, which was Minister for Financial and Allied Institutions.
And then a free Ankara, but we're not really sure what portfolio it was.
So there's a free Ankara, there's Clement Park, so all of these guys worked at the presidency, except that somehow Nanado appears to be giving them a bigger portfolio by just announcing them and talking big about them. But if they are operating from the presidency, then that lessens the anger against the appointment.
Malik, next week we'll be engaging these ministers or minister designates, maybe in twos, and then looking at the challenges that we're expecting them to fix for us as a country going forward. So thank you very much.
And I'll get the opportunity to tell you how surprised I was to see Mohammed Awal, former MD of Graphic, having been named as minister in the Nanado government.
And perhaps how unsurprised you are that Mustafa Hamid is Minister of Information.
Yes, I said that yesterday.
Okay, thank you very much. Malik Abbas Dabu is our Deputy Head of Political Desk here at Joy News, helping us to bring that conversation to an end. And so you know, President Akufo Addo has put together his men. He wants Parliament to expedite action and make sure that, he's got a working government at this point. He's of course acknowledged the media and how we're covering his announcement for him. And he says this is the end of the first round. So we hope to see what the next round brings. Like I said, we'll subject this to further analysis. And I believe that you stay with us.